Hi, I'm Robert. Today I'll be explaining HIV and its symptoms. There are plenty of videos about this topic on YouTube, but I'll explain it in my own simple and direct way. No unnecessary talk, just straight to the point. So let's get started. Before we begin, I just want to say, we're only 92 subscribers away from reaching 1,000. It may sound small, but to us, it means a community that cares about truth, awareness, and saving lives. So if you find value in what we share, please hit that subscribe button right now. It's free for you, but it helps us spread life-saving awareness to thousands more. Most men with HIV don't look sick. They don't feel sick. They go to work, they go to the gym, they live life. And inside their bodies, something quiet but powerful is happening. HIV doesn't announce its arrival with drama. It slips in silently, attaches itself to your body's most trusted defenders, your CD4 T cells, and begins a quiet process of rewriting your immune system's code. And that's what makes HIV so dangerous. It doesn't destroy the body overnight. It builds its home within it, cell by cell, while the person feels completely normal. For months, sometimes years. To understand HIV's silent phase, we need to understand how it begins. Human immunodeficiency virus HIV is transmitted primarily through unprotected sexual contact, blood-to-blood exposure, or from mother to child during pregnancy or breastfeeding. When an HIV-positive person's body fluid, semen, vaginal fluid, or blood come into contact with the mucous membranes of another person, the virus looks for an entry point. Tiny tears in the genital or rectal lining during sex are enough. Once inside, HIV targets the CD4 T cells, which are a type of white blood cell, the commanders of your immune army. The virus binds to receptors on the surface of these cells and injects its RNA, its genetic blueprint, inside. Then, using an enzyme called reverse transcriptase, it converts that RNA into DNA and permanently integrates it into the host cell's own DNA. This is key. Once integrated, the virus becomes a part of the cell's genetic structure. Every time that CD4 cell tries to do its normal job, it unknowingly starts producing more copies of HIV. So why don't symptoms appear right away? Because your immune system is incredibly smart. At first, it detects the infection and fights back hard, often suppressing the virus temporarily. But HIV has already hidden copies of itself inside resting cells waiting. That's why men can feel completely healthy in the earliest stages, even while the infection has already begun. After the initial infection, HIV moves into what we call the clinical latency phase, also known as the asymptomatic stage. In this phase, the immune system and the virus reach a sort of uneasy balance. Your body's defenses are still strong enough to keep major symptoms away, but HIV continues to replicate quietly in the background. Millions of new viral particles are produced each day, and your immune system destroys almost as many. It's like a constant tug-of-war, neither side completely winning. During this stage, a man's CD4 count may slowly decline over time. In a healthy person, CD4 counts typically range from 500 to 1,500 cells per microliter of blood. During latency, that number may stay normal or gradually drop into the 400s or 300s without causing visible illness. This phase can last years, sometimes up to 8 to 10 years without treatment. And that's the silent danger. The virus continues damaging the immune system even though everything seems fine on the outside. Many men unknowingly live in this stage completely unaware that they're HIV positive because the symptoms are either mild, inconsistent, or absent altogether. Now let's talk about the early signs that many men notice, but often dismiss. The first and most common is unexplained fatigue. Men describe it as feeling tired even after full rest, or lacking stamina for daily tasks they used to handle easily. Often they attribute it to work stress or not eating properly. But what's really happening is subtle. Your immune system is constantly active, fighting the virus around the clock. That silent internal effort drains energy. Another common sign is mild fever that comes and goes, nothing high enough to alarm you, maybe just 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But it keeps returning, especially at night. Then come night sweats, waking up drenched even when the room isn't hot. It's your immune system's thermostat fluctuating as it releases cytokines in response to viral activity. Swollen lymph nodes, particularly in the neck, armpits, or groin, can also appear. These are your immune hubs, where white blood cells multiply to fight infection. When they enlarge for weeks or months, it's a sign something deeper is happening. And then there are short, repetitive illness cycles, like catching colds every few weeks or small infections taking longer to heal. In my clinic, I've seen men who experienced all these: fatigue, fever, night sweats, small lumps under the jaw, and ignored them for years. By the time they got tested, their CD4 count was already under 200, the stage where we define AIDS. There are also less obvious symptoms, things most men never associate with HIV. One of them is oral ulcers, small, painful sores inside the mouth that come and go frequently. These are caused by immune dysregulation, allowing common viruses like HSV or bacteria to flare up. Chronic fungal infections, like repeated episodes of oral thrush or athlete's foot that doesn't heal easily, can also signal immune suppression. In men, seborrheic dermatitis, greasy, itchy skin with flaky patches around the nose or eyebrows, is surprisingly common in early HIV. Then, unexplained rashes sometimes on the chest, back, or scalp that come and go. They're often dismissed as allergies or heat rashes, but may be related to immune activity under the skin. Some men also notice skin pigment changes, especially darker or lighter patches. That happens as immune cells in the skin lose regulation. Another subtle clue is prolonged coughs or respiratory infections that keep returning, not severe, but lingering. This can happen because the immune system's surveillance in the lungs becomes slightly impaired. Now here's something rarely discussed: hormonal changes. In some men, early HIV affects the hypothalamic pituitary axis, leading to low testosterone levels. Symptoms include reduced libido, difficulty maintaining erections, and sometimes mild depression. Most men never link these issues to HIV. They think it's just aging or stress. But biologically, it's all connected to the body's inflammatory response to ongoing infection. As years pass without treatment, HIV's slow erosion of the immune system becomes visible. CD4 counts drop below 350, then 200. That's when we begin to see what I call secondary infections, the body's red flags that the immune wall has cracks. Shingles is one of the earliest and most classic signs. It's caused by the reactivation of the varicella-zoster virus, the same virus that causes chickenpox in childhood. In healthy people, it's rare before age 50. So when a young man develops shingles, especially on more than one side of the body, it's a strong reason to test for HIV. Frequent colds, persistent mouth thrush, or non-healing ulcers start appearing. Some men begin losing weight rapidly, not due to dieting, but because of metabolic changes and muscle loss known as HIV-associated wasting. Another telltale sign is chronic diarrhea that lasts for weeks or keeps returning, often due to opportunistic gut infections that the immune system can no longer control. Unfortunately, these are the stages when many finally seek medical help, years after infection began. By then, the viral load is high, and treatment becomes urgent. This is perhaps the biggest misconception men have. They assume that looking healthy means being healthy. But HIV doesn't follow that rule. The viral load, meaning how much virus is in your bloodstream, has nothing to do with how healthy you appear on the outside. You can look fit, muscular, and active, yet have a high viral load silently damaging your immune system every day. That's why testing is the only reliable way to know your HIV status. There are no outward signs that are guaranteed proof. And by the time visible illness appears, HIV has already done years of work inside. As a doctor, I tell my patients, don't wait for symptoms. They're a late invitation to a long-standing problem. Now let's talk about testing, because 2025 is not 1995. We have far better and faster diagnostic tools now. The most accurate test today is the fourth-generation HIV antigen/antibody combo test, often done by ECLIA or ELISA method. It detects both HIV antibodies and the P24 antigen, which appears as early as 14 to 18 days after exposure. That means most infections can be reliably detected after 28 days, though the gold standard for conclusive testing remains at 90 days post-exposure. If someone wants to detect infection even earlier, there's the HIV-RNA-PCR test, which can identify viral genetic material as soon as 10 to 14 days after exposure. This is used in special cases, like when symptoms appear early or exposure risk is very high. For those testing at home, FDA-approved oral kits like OraQuick are reliable, but they may take longer to turn positive, usually after 3 months. In short, PCR test, earliest 10 to 14 days. 4th gen test, reliable by 28 days. Rapid/antibody-only test, reliable by 90 days. No matter which test you use, what matters most is testing at the right time and following up if you had any risk exposure. And yes, if all your tests are negative after 90 days, using a 4th gen or lab method, you are considered negative. HIV prevention is not just about avoiding risk, it's about protecting your future and the people around you. Condom use remains one of the simplest and most effective preventative tools. But prevention also includes awareness, understanding how HIV spreads, knowing your partner's status, and getting tested regularly. There's also PrEP or pre-exposure prophylaxis daily medication that can reduce the risk of infection by over 99% if taken correctly. For people living with HIV, treatment equals prevention because when viral load is undetectable, transmission risk becomes effectively zero. This is known as U equals U, undetectable equals untransmittable. And let's not forget mental health. Many men avoid testing out of fear of stigma, rejection, or guilt. But knowledge is power. Knowing your status is an act of strength, not weakness. So here's my final message, simple, direct, and true. HIV doesn't attack your body first. It attacks your awareness. The virus thrives in silence, not because it's unbeatable, but because too many people assume they're fine until it's too late. Today, HIV is no longer a death sentence. With early detection and proper treatment, people can live long, healthy, completely normal lives. But you have to take the first step. Get tested, get informed, protect your health and your partners. Because in the fight against HIV, silence is the real killer, not the virus itself.